If you could create content using AI and make as much as $100 profit per article, how many articles would you create? Well, that's the question we're going to be answering today, along with many others, like what's the best AI to use? DeepSeek, Gemini, chatgpt, Manus, and not only that, how can we make money with these articles? What's the difference between a piece of content that makes nothing and one that made me over $200,000? Do these pieces of content need to rank in Google? How do we create them with AI? What should they look like? Where are we going to put them? Yeah, there's a lot of questions. But don't worry, I have the answers. And today, I'm going to show you a full tutorial on how I use AI to create content that makes money. But before we get started, we got to clear the air. Are you going to watch this video, fire up AI, and make stacks of cash? Probably not. In fact, the vast majority of people trying to make money online, watching these videos, creating content with AI, make nothing. So let's get that out of the way right here, right now. Because this is a business. It takes work, it takes effort, you gotta be in the right place at the right time, and there's a whole lot of variables involved. Which is why today, we're gonna fire up these 4 AI tools. We're gonna put them to the test, showing you which one is gonna create content that makes money, which one fails miserably, why some content makes money and the vast majority doesn't, and how you could get started writing content with AI to make money. So if you're excited to see this full tutorial, including the comparison of the AI tools, my $200,000 article, and my content profit checklist, well then, smash a like button, because you're in the right place. Come on, let's go to work. All right, so let's dive in and talk about how we're going to make content with AI to make $100 per article or more, hopefully. That's the idea, right? First of all, what we need to do is we need to understand the intent and intention. The intent of the person reading, the intention of us as the creator. Without these two things, you're just making more noise online, creating content that maybe you'll hope will get some ad clicks and some revenue and stuff like that, but it's not really focused. What we want to do is something very focused. In a minute, I'm going to show you the $200,000 blog post, which at last I checked from the last edit of that blog post, that one made around $200,000 total. I've made like 600 grand on that one, not including the new edits. So I'm just going off the new edits so you can see. And again, results are not typical, implied, or guaranteed. While I've made lots of money with this stuff, the vast majority of people make nothing. So remember that. We got to look at this. We got to look at the intent and intention and why we're doing what we're doing. Also, we have to look at this as info worth sharing and to whom. Now, first, we have intent and intention. What is the intent of the person reading? What is the intention of us as the creator? Then, is the info worth sharing and to whom? This is important because sometimes information that might seem useless to one person is valuable to another person. So, very important there. Don't just go off of what you think is important. For example, for me, I find it extremely boring to look at NBA statistics. Like, I don't care how many dunks people have. I just like watching the game. I don't care about the stats. However, to some people, those stats are very, very important. So we have to look at this and we have to understand the differences in the content. Now, when we go through, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at this content monetization checklist. And don't worry, I'll give you this checklist at the end of this video. And looking at where the intention of us is. Are we making SEO content to rank in Google? Are we making advertorial content strictly to make money with? Are we doing a pre-sales page based on a product, a blog post, or a social info post where we're going to get people in from social media, share an article, and drive them to things that make us money? Now, in order to do this, obviously, we're using AI. We are going to use Manus, Gemini, ChatGPT, and DeepSeek. Now, what I did in preparation for this video is I actually went through and gave all 4 of these the same exact prompt. Now, I'm going to have another caveat over here where we're going to be using Notebook LM because I think this will help quite a bit with our research. Now, going through looking at these 4 tools, what we need to do is say, okay, which one is going to make us the most money? Which one is going to waste our time? And why is the one that makes us the most money going to make us the most money? Also, which ones should I be using together? Because sometimes I find going out there and getting Manus to do the work of doing the research and things like that, sometimes that's best. And then I can take that and give it to Gemini or ChatGPT or something like that. So understanding how these tools work and where is super important. And if you understand that, you can actually use Manus at this lowest price point, because I know that one can get kind of pricey. And we can get a good output with the other tools finalizing them. Because if you have Manus do everything, sometimes it starts to hallucinate and sometimes it gets really expensive. So we need to understand that. So the prompt that we're going to look at is an article based on the video I created about the franchise niche. I'm going to have that video in the description. It is highly, highly recommended that you watch it again if you already watched it. If you have not watched it, watch it. That goes tandem with this, because if you understand why we're creating this content, you're going to be able to build a business. This is super important. Now, what I did is I went through and I said with ChatGPT, we'll start with this one because it is the most popular. We can see here, I said, find info on Subway franchise owners and how much they make profit. Now, this is based on the idea that people looking for franchises, very expensive market, lots of advertisers, lots of businesses, a lot of money here, okay? Now, what I wanted was something specific. I went through knowing what I want because I've been doing this business for 25 years. I know exactly what I want the AI to do. I know what I'm looking for. Now, most people creating content do not know what they're looking for, so they don't know if it's going to be profitable or not. They're just amazed at how great AI thinks of things and writes things. But if you don't know why something makes profit and another doesn't, you're going to be spinning your wheels forever and you're not going to make money. So we need to understand what we want at the get-go. For me, I knew right off the bat that what ChatGPT gave me was useless junk. Now, most people are going to look at this and be like, well, it looks pretty good to me. I mean, it's got the average profit margins. It's got some percentages here, initial investment. It looks pretty good. I mean, this looks like good content, Marcus. Why would this be junk? And this is what I want to teach you. This is the whole teach a man to fish kind of thing, where we're going to go through and show you how to fish and how to get money from content versus just creating more content, which is more noise, which is more junk. Now, you can even go through and look at this in Grammarly, and it'll probably score pretty decent. I don't think it's going to be too crazy, which most people would say, hey, this is a good piece of content. However, the vast majority of people don't know what they're doing. That's what this video is about. If you want to learn how and why to understand content that makes money, this is important. So we can see here 37% AI, 5% plagiarism. This, most people would think, hey, this is pretty decent. Now, when I went through and I gave it to Gemini, we went through and we did deep research with Gemini. Now, I also did regular research. So this is the regular research one here. Subway franchise ownership, a look at potential profits. Owning a Subway, average earnings and profitability, 400 to 490, 15 to 20. This could translate, okay, so this is better, right? What I'm looking for is that magic number presented in the right way that's going to make money. Now, some people say that the average Subway is like 30 to 40 grand, which is like you pay 500 grand to make 40 grand a year. Yeah, that's not something I'm interested in, but to each his own. Now, we're also seeing there's a lot of fees and different stuff like that. So this is definitely a better piece of content even before we ran it through the plagiarism check. So we'll just do that just to make sure. I mean, we don't want to copy anything or anything like that. This is where it's going to get into the unique content. So this has no plagiarism and no AI. Let's double check that because I don't know. Let's see here. If it did none, then Gemini for the win on this part. However, the info wasn't what I wanted. I want info that's going to make me money. Again, remember, I need to think about this in a way that's going to make me money. So it didn't have any plagiarism, and it was 78%. So on the plagiarism front, looks great. On the info front, if I was thinking about a Subway franchise and I read this, would I take the next step to make money, click a link, click an ad? What would that look like? Because most people are just going to post this up, put some ads on it, and get like less than 1% of the people to click on ads. They're going to wonder why they're not making money. Well, one, it's hard to get traffic. Two, it's hard to make money if you're not doing these things for a specific reason. What I'm doing is I'm teaching you, here's how to make stuff for the purpose of getting traffic deliberately and how to get that traffic to convert. So Gemini so far is doing pretty good. All right, let's take a look over here at DeepSeek. DeepSeek I found to kind of hit the nail on the head. I said, find info on Subway franchise owners and how much they make profit. Again, thinking about that intent of the person. Why would they look for that? Why would they read that piece of content? And what am I using it for? We're going to answer these in just a minute. DeepSeek said, okay, it thought for almost a half a minute. And it said, okay, what's going on here? It did its research. And then it came up and said, based on the search results, here's what I have. So it was more conversational to me, where the others were kind of writing articles. This is better. You might think, well, Marcus, don't we want it to write articles? Isn't that how we're going to make $100? Well, think about this for a minute. Initial investment cost, broke it down really good. Key components, franchise fee, improvements, great. Then it goes through and it talks about the fees here with the insurance. Okay, this was the only one that mentioned insurance, and this is the only one that did the cost of goods breakdown, which was great. Then we saw annual gross sales, net profit range, typical margin. This is good. This is something I can use. This is something people want. Here's the risks and challenges, success strategies, and the conclusion. Now, look at the difference. ChatGPT here, average revenue and profit, boring. Okay, some challenges. They did close some. So, okay, and the $20 per hour, not that great. Okay, so but the content was okay. Now, looking at DeepSeek, all right, we have, boom, right into it. Here's investment and costs, ongoing fees and operational, revenue and profitability. I like this because it's easy to see what I want right at the get-go. So far, I'm actually liking DeepSeek. Now, let's take a look at Manus. With Manus, we went through, and it did a lot of work. It took a while. This was the longest one. Find info on Subway franchise owners and how much they make profit, very detailed. All right, then it went through, it did all of its stuff, and looked at the sites, and it came up with initial investment, 229 to 522, average annual revenue, same, profit margins, earnings, 60 to 90, basic. Okay, so far, initial reaction. Okay, so initial reaction, I'm going to say DeepSeek for the win. Okay, DeepSeek did a good job of breaking this stuff down. Now, if you could start with something like DeepSeek and understand why it's important, the reason this is more important and better than what we saw with ChatGPT, Manus, and even Gemini, is the fact that we have different information structured differently. As I say here all the time, information structured differently can make you a lot of money. Now, understanding this is key. So now I have the starting point. Now I'm like, okay, this is cool. Now I got these initial investment costs, blah, 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 blah. Wonderful stuff, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start and ask myself, what am I going to do with this? Okay, how am I going to make it info worth sharing? Like sharing this, boring. Anyone can go and read something here. Like, this is okay. I do like their breakdown. That's kind of cool. But that was using deep research. So the deep research did a good job. And I did find the deep research actually flew by the plagiarism counts like crazy. So let's see here. I believe it was a 0% or something really small. So looking at this, let's see what that looks like. All right, so we got 4,400 words. That's a beast of an article. So that would be pretty good. Like if you were doing SEO, this would probably be good. And it did have a breakdown of like the Subways, Jersey Mike's and stuff. I like that. I like that for a reason. Here's the reason, okay? This is where you got to think differently. When we're going out there, if I have a flat article just about the stuff. So if I have this article over here, which is like, yay, wonderful, here's the Subway stuff. I put it on my blog. They read the stuff, they leave, right? Like in Bug's Life. They come, they eat, they leave. They come, they eat, they leave. That's what they're doing. They're coming, they're eating the content, and they're leaving, and I don't get any money. What I want to do is I want to make this thing make money. Now, from my eye of knowing this stuff for as long as I have, this is going to get me the closest to making money. But I did see some things in deep research here that will also make me money. Okay, so check the plagiarism, 1%. On a 4,400 word article, that's pretty solid. Now, I do like I like some of the stuff here. So let's break this up, and I'm going to show you what I like so that you understand where I'm going with this. Super important. If you get this, you could make more with one article than 1,000 just regurgitated articles. This is super, super important stuff. Now, here's what I want. I want good content. Obviously, we need to have good content, okay? That's a given. We want no plagiarism, obviously. We want easy to look at and read. A lot of people make content that's not easy to consume, so people don't consume it. They're like, okay, I don't want to read that. So we want that. Then we also want other stuff, right? Because if I can get someone to read one article and then they click to more articles, this is how people are going to see more ads, more affiliate offers, stay on our site longer, and make us more money. If you don't have this, your article is just going to be hoping that the first person clicks and makes you money. We don't want that. We want them to go to multiple. And I don't really want to have to think about it. I mean, I've done this 25 years. I've thought about it for a while. Most people can't think or don't think that way to get people deeper because they don't really know that much about their niche, or they just don't have that creativity. AI is going to do that, and that's what I'm looking for. That's why I'm making this video. If you like it, smash the like button. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make more like this so you can understand why I do what I do and why some AIs are not going to get the job done. So looking at this here, I like this part. Why do I like this part? Because it's going through to like more stuff, right? It's like, okay, I could go through, I could take this part, which is right there, realistic expectations, long-term perspective, buying a job versus investment for return. Now, on this, I could say, want to buy a job, or do you want a business that runs itself? I can take them into something else, or I could even say, hands-off franchises, click here, something like that. Multi-unit potential. Looking for multi-unit franchise buying? Click this. These are going to take them to bigger, more expensive offers and articles. So if we can take a look at this, let's open up SpyFu, and I'll show you exactly what this looks like. So if we go over here and we do like, let's say Subway franchise, okay? Let's see what the amount per click is. So we're at $1.71 here. Let's do franchise loans. Okay, this could go into something deeper. Now look at that. Now it's $9. That's pretty cool. Let's try multiple franchise loans. All right, that one doesn't register, not enough traffic. So franchise loans is good. So again, looking at this, can I take them from this article to franchise loans or something like that? Can I take them from multi-unit to loans or best franchises if you're going to have multiple? Okay, maybe you can do like franchises that offer multiple. Now, keeping in mind, these are our money posts, not our traffic posts, okay? They're usually not one and the same. When you see a teaser article on social media or something and it goes to another article, usually that's the traffic article getting you to go to other stuff. We talk about this all the time with the Motley Fool business model and other business models where what they're doing is making that traffic post to get the engagement, the interest, the people in, then having the money post. So going through, these are good. Brand in transition. Okay. Maybe you could do like similar. Now, what I liked also, I think Gemini Deep Research had the similar ones, or that might have been DeepSeek. Cost of goods sold. I like this little thing. I'd probably take that. Profitability, average unit. So this one did not. I think it was, okay, this one did have the little guy here with these. So I like this. Why do I like this? Because this is going to get them into my other post, right? Because now I can have, okay, if you're looking at Jimmy John, go to my post on Jimmy John, and that's going to have that. If you're looking for Jersey, go to the post on Jersey. Firehouse, that one, Arby's, blah, 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 blah. Getting them more in stuff, more engaged. They're going to see more ads. You're going to make more money. Very important, okay? Now, going through like this, we need to understand the difference between what types of posts. Okay, let's go back to DeepSeek. So we had two things from Gemini we're going to use. We have initial startup, key component, ongoing fee. So I'm going to use all of this. Like if I was going to make this article, what I would do, let's open up like Microsoft Word or something like that. That's usually what I create. We'll go blank document, and we're just going to take the stuff that I want. Okay, so we're going to want all of this, and I'm going to have ChatGPT format this. And nothing, I'm not going to use anything from ChatGPT. So we're going to go new. I'm just going to use this for formatting. Format this without the references, please. And we can put the references at the bottom of ours. So we'll do right like this. Looking good. That way I can just copy it over and I'll have the blog post. Okay, so conclusion. I usually do not have conclusions on my articles. That's usually just a writer type thing, which we're not writing like writers because that's not the goal. We're writing for people to consume, to give them information so that we can get paid. Very important. Now I'll show you how to get paid in just a bit. So now looking at that, we have our DeepSeek stuff in there. We have our box from this, key data sources, remake the table. We don't need the data sources. We can put those at the bottom. Let's make this a table. Same for this, keep the table, remove references. Boom, there we go. And it should make a table for us. There we go, nice. So now I'm going to put this in here. Okay, so now we have that with the similar ones. Okay, obviously I would format it nicely and everything like that. So now we have the factors, everything like that. We're going to go through and get the other stuff from Gemini. So we had this table here. That was a good one. And that doesn't have any fancy formatting or anything like that. So we'll just stick that right in our article here, wherever our article went. I think it was this one. No, that's not it. It was one of these over here. There we go. All right, so we'll go through and we will put this on here. I probably put this up towards the top. Put that up there. Okay, we would have it formatted. So I just asked ChatGPT, format this in table. Boom. Nice. Okay, so there's the average volume, everything like that. And then what this is doing is it's going to build this thing up so that we can make money with it. Okay, obviously, when you get it on your post, you're going to format it and everything like that. Now going through very simple piece of content. The Subway, the Manus one for Subway did have like a lot of info, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, biz to credit says this. So those are kind of cool. Let's take all of this, and we don't need that. Initial investment. Let's take all this here. And then I'll show you how to format this into something that's going to work. So what we're doing right now is getting our initial info, right? This is like the research phase, which with AI, this is so much easier than before. It's not even funny. So we'll go through like this. We'll put this content here. Now we're at 1,700 words. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, let's try Gemini, because Gemini's actually pretty smart and it thinks the way we want. Let's do make this an article, quick hitting with all the tables and quick info on earnings. Okay, so we can go through like this. And it should do it with the table and everything. Now, as we go through, what we're going to do is ask ourselves, what am I doing with this? If I'm doing a Pinterest post and I'm getting them to the blog or this content, what would that look like? If I'm going to do SEO, like do I want this to rank in Google? If I do, what is that going to look like? It's a little bit different, okay? That's why we're going to use this checklist. If it's an advertorial where I'm just putting this out there like, hey, did you know this about franchise? Or maybe even social media where you're like, the average person spends $100,000 on college, you could get a Subway and make 40 grand or whatever it is, right? Talking about stuff like that is important. So now looking at this, it did a good job of making this pretty good. Okay, so rigorous cost control. Okay, now looking at this, we have our main thing. If we're going to do advertorial, think about where you would post it. Am I going to put something on Facebook in a business group that says what you need to know before buying a franchise, or is a Subway franchise right for you? Something like that. Or got 400 grand, you could be making X amount. Obviously make it true and everything like that, but we could see exactly how this works. Now, looking at this, let's say I wanted to do SEO. Okay, for this one, if I did something like Subway franchise earnings, you could probably see over here that this would work pretty good. So if we did Keywords Explorer, Subway franchise earnings, okay, let's do just Subway franchise. Maybe it'll have like income, cost and profit. Good. So this isn't super competitive. I think if I did a really good job, I could rank for this. And I can also turn it into a video and stuff like that, thinking about where we're going to put this, thinking about how we're going to do this. How would we get this to make $100? Okay, this is important because a lot of people, they're going to think, oh, I want to write an article and get $100. Okay, it's not how this works unless you're a paid AI content writer, which that's out there. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about, can my Subway franchise post earn me on average 30 cents per day? That's all I got to do. That's all I got to do. Make 30 cents a day times 365. It's a little bit more than 100. Let's see what that would be. 365 times 0.30. That gives us 109.50. So 109.50. Now, if it averages $1 a day, now I made $300, 365, right? Or if it averages $10 a day, this is where the money starts to add up. Now, again, not every blog post will make money, but what we want to do is make things deliberate to make money. Okay, very important. It's just like when you get into faceless channels, when you get into writing content with AI, everything needs to be based on a purpose, because if you just make a bunch of Bible videos, what's the purpose? How are you going to make money? I mean, yeah, you could sell some coloring books, but you're going to have to get 10 million people to sell 4 books. So we got to go out there. We got to make this work. So now that we know this, I'm going to do this for SEO. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to go through, and just to show you how this works, look, I do this all the time. My SEO content ranks. There's lots of things here. Like I noticed this one was ranking for SaaS demo, which is software as a service demo, which is a very, very high market. I actually organized these by average cost per click. Like advertisers are paying that much per click in this market. So there's a lot of money in the market. Again, that doesn't mean what we're going to get. That just means there's a lot of money. So here we could see I'm number 44, and I didn't even try. Like this is pretty simple content I had my outsourcers make, SaaS product demos, how to make them count. I could fancy this up and make it work. Now, looking at these contents, some of them rank really, really well. And if you're targeted on what you want, like animation videos, that's an expensive one. I can get them into all kinds of stuff. Animated video agencies, companies, product animation videos, explainer video services, like that's a big one, and I'm number 28 for that. Now, again, I haven't put this through the treatment yet. This is just my homepage. But going through and understanding, oh, this is why we're making content with AI. This is how we're making it, and here's where it's going to go next. So when we're going through it, we have our piece of content that we're working on, which is right like this, okay? Now, we went through, and I think we did have it turn it into an article. Let's see, what did that come up with on Google here? Okay, so here we have this looking pretty good. So there's our first start of the article. Okay, we could do the same thing with ChatGPT so you could see the difference. Turn this into a nice article with tables. Okay, and it'll go through and it'll do this for you. Have some coffee while we wait. Now, Manus, as far as getting a finished product, I was not super happy with it, unless you want quick info type stuff. It was okay, but it was quick info. It was not like in-depth articles to make money. It's more for traffic, okay? So before we get into this, we're going to go into this. I'm going to show you how it works. I wanted to show you the screenshot. here's a screenshot from that one article. This is just from March 1 to 29. I think there was only 29 days in March. You could see that that one post I'm going to show you made about $5,700, a little bit over $5,700, which is pretty cool. Now, again, results not typical, implied, or guaranteed. I've been doing this a long time. This site was started back in 2015. There's a lot involved here. Most people make nothing, but this is one example I wanted to show you. I also want to show you how simple the blog post was. Now, remember, this is my money post. I had to get traffic from other places to send them to the money post. But the money post made me, well, the money, right? That's the idea there. So this is the post. It was about web hosting, and it's just basic post showing them how to get web hosting, why, and everything like that. It's a very simple post, nothing fancy to it. It just gets them into web hosting. That's all it was. Now, I've done this with lots of other stuff in many different niches. This is one I currently have I wanted to show you. Now, as we go through, we need to look at this in terms of money posts. So Gemini is going to work here. It's got the draft. We have ChatGPT with the draft. Let's go ahead and say, now use this, make a blog post, tables and all. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to walk this through, because if I could spend 5 hours, 2 hours a day, whatever, making a good post, and that post averages 30 cents a day, $1 a day, which, I mean, that's not too difficult to do if you do it right. Again, most people are going to get no dollars a day. But understanding this, okay, can I go out there and make this work? Would it be worth it? Would that 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it takes, be worth it to get that money? Then I can duplicate, because here's the secret, right? A lot of people don't realize this. If I go through, let's say you're here and you're like, Marcus, I'm going to get $100 for one article today. Yeah, good luck finding someone to pay you that, especially in the age of AI. You're not a writer. You don't have a business. It's going to be tough, okay? You're going to think, yay, I got my $100. Woohoo, great, wonderful. Now, here's the difference. I'm going to be out there. Let's say my article generates $1 a day, all right? I'm going to be like, oh, you're like, hey, Marcus, I'm happy. Look at me. I got $1, or I got $100. You only got $1. You should be pretty sad. Well, here's the deal. You got to keep working to get more. So by day 100, we're even. Only the difference is I'm making $100 a day every day. So it's going to add up. Now, again, remember, results are not typical, implied, or guaranteed. Rankings change, business changes, offers change. There's a lot of variables. Maybe one day this will go away. We don't know. Some do, some don't. So we got to look at this and we got to understand it. But if the traffic's there should be good ways to make money on it if we're focusing. Now, going through like this, what I want to say is, okay, if I'm doing SEO content, do I have a compelling headline and subhead? Let's say, okay, so this here, Subway franchise, what owners really earned 2024 data. Now let's fix the title. Let's do like this. Let's give the same thing to ChatGPT. And we'll say, now let's fix the title. Okay, so we'll just copy this here. And it should understand what our niche is. So we'll put it in Gemini and we'll put it in ChatGPT. And what we're going to do is we're going to start walking this article through. Okay, is Subway franchise worth it? Cost, profits, real earnings revealed. How much do they make? I like this. Subway franchise investment guide. Subway franchise versus competitors, report cost revenues. I kind of like this because it'll get a more broad audience, right? If we do versus competitors, that's going to be only people actively looking for it, whereas this will be a more broad audience. Like if I was going to do a YouTube video, how much do they make? That's going to get more curiosity than is it worth it? All right, so now let's go ahead and say remake it for this. All right, so there's that. Let's see what this came up with. Profits, worth it, the real slice. No, that's terrible. Subway franchise earnings exposed, maybe. Crunching the numbers on the Subway franchise investment. So I would say for title, ChatGPT kind of got it. Like that one did do good. So now we're starting to rework it. Optimize subheadings, what does it cost? So let's go through and start making our article. And we'll say file new. And we'll just start this thing over. All right, how much do Subway franchise owners really make? A full profit breakdown. I like it. That's good. Like, okay, that's going to be good content, very interesting stuff for people. So now we can see this one here, boosting your bottom line. Not really digging it. Funny that ChatGPT did get it. Or was that this one? Let's see. Okay, Subway franchise profits. Is it worth it? Subway owner income. Profit or struggle. Subway owner income. I do like how much do they make? I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because that's going to get interest. So let's start with this. And let's build. Okay? And what's going to happen is we're going to walk it through and make it, okay, so we got our compelling headline. High quality, engaging, valuable content. For a piece of SEO, write a 500-word section on this here, okay? So let's see what it comes up with. Visually appealing, so we can do images and things like that, which ChatGPT can make for you. Like I could go through and say, now make some image charts and graphs about what they make, costs, ECT. So we'll go like this, and we can start putting these into our content. This will understand it in a really good way. You can also use things like Napkin AI is pretty good for this. So going through here, we have this monthly bleed, the fees eating your revenue. So see how it, boom, this went through and took it a whole different direction. The reality versus the dream. Be your own boss sounds great until you see the numbers. While corporate marketing leans into low startup, 180 versus 1 million, the profit story is more complex. We analyzed the reports, owners, that's a damn good, like I would read this. This is a good piece of content. The investment, 200 to 500K. All right, high notes, non-traditional sites start lower. Minimum financial requirements, good. Monthly bleed, talking about what's coming out and what they're not going to make and what they spend. The profit owners actually take home. This is good. So if the store is making 600K or roughly 2,000, 1,500 a day or something like that, that means at the highest profit margin, you just bought yourself a $120,000 a year job. Not bad, but most owners are like not doing that. The average owner, 48, struggling 28. I was watching a video of a guy who did a Subway franchise, and dude was losing money. I was like, man, that sucks. I paid $4.90 for this thing, and it's losing money. You pay to lose more? No, that's why I run my own business and do my own thing here. That's what people need to understand is like, if you can invest and start and build a business based on content and hit good numbers, right? Because like, okay, according to this, I'm making pretty good numbers, and my initial investment was less than $100. Now, over the years, I've invested a lot, but only after I made profit, which is important, right? So a lot of people don't understand this. Hidden risks, why 30? This is good content here. Top owners hit 100K. How do they do it? Bottom line, is it worth it? Due diligence checklist. Great. Now, see how we're getting like, okay, we're on step 2 and we're already really good. Visually appealing design. Can we get some images out of ChatGPT? Yeah, okay, we got, let's see, open this one here. Subway profit. That's kind of not good. I wouldn't use that because it doesn't say anything. It's just like random stuff. So not a big fan of that one. Make some images based on profits, expenses, stuff like that. All right, so visually appealing, we can do that. We can add that with AI, so I'll let you add that in later. Clear and strong calls to action. So call to action, what would that be like? Okay, so I'm thinking calls to action. Let's take our content here, which is looking good. I love this piece of content. This is something I would post. It would be good. So how much do they earn? I'm going to take out the 2024. I could check and make sure the numbers are the same now. Okay, we'll keep our sources in there. So now here's what we're looking at. How much do they make? Full breakdown. Boom. Now we have 595 words. I think that's sufficient. I don't think we need some crazy amount of words. Like a lot of people think quantity is the key. It is not. Unfiltered data, owner interviews, and the brutal truth about sandwich math. I'm going to say the brutal truth about owning a Subway. Okay? Obviously, make sure it's true. Obviously, make sure you check it. Don't step on any toes. I don't want to lie and be like, oh, it's terrible if I don't know, because I don't know. I've never owned one. But I could summarize what other people are saying. Reality versus the dream. Good. Now, where can I put calls to action? Okay, reality versus dream. Can't afford a franchise? Click here for home business, or let's do top work from home businesses with less than 1,000 investment or something like that. Okay, so this is call to action. And a lot of people, like, you could do this. You could go straight to an affiliate offer, or you could go to a page with ads and offers. For me, I probably do a page. Okay, so that's going to be your flipper page, which we'll get into in a minute. So can't afford a franchise, click here for top work from home business. The investment, okay, minimum this, minimum this. Do you meet these or need a franchise loan? Click here for options. So now we're getting them into that thing over there that was like $9 a click. And obviously that's what they're paying, what we're going to make. Could be more, could be less. Probably not more than $9 a click. It's pretty rare to get that much. Although on the one I showed you, the amount we're getting per click over there, it's pretty good. I think it was 8 something. Where did it go? There it is. 869. Not too bad. So looking at this, we're going to get people into other things, get them deeper in. We can also get them into like a franchise guide. We could put together a guide, link them over there. Revenue, profitability. So that's decent. It's okay. I could use this for something, maybe put it in our content or whatever. Now, going through here, let's take a look at what else we have. Okay, we have fees eating your revenue. Okay, let's do something like maybe need more profit, less risk. Check out our top over 100K earners. Okay, that's going to get them into our report on franchises that make more than 100K. And again, we could write all this with AI. It's just our creativity that's going there. So adding these calls to action, which will take them to other pages that'll make money, is key. You can even have one here that's like, okay, maybe there's like a franchise for sale, right? Maybe you can go through and you do Spy Food. Let's do franchise for sale. This will probably trigger a good amount. 365, not bad. Franchises for sale. 284. Let's do Subway franchise for sale. Something like this. 158. So there is more money there. And again, getting them to click to the other stuff is what is key. That's what's going to make this work. If they're just stagnant, if they just go to your site to see, oh, well, it makes 80,000, that's it, that's not really what we want. We want people who are specific, interested in this. And then, oh, here's some other franchises and things like that. So calls to action is good. Now, calls to action can also be those related type links. So where we were going through and we saw, I think it was in ChatGPT or Manus or something like that. Was it Manus? There was like a related franchises. So like I could go through and say, now list some similar franchises. Something like that. I think we even had, yeah, there it is. So we had it in our content with the Jersey Mikes, right? I could go through, I could have this link to the Jersey Mikes page, getting them deeper in our content, getting them to look at more stuff. This is what's going to take you from like one click to having the guy look at like 10 different pages on your site. This is important. I did this with my mortgage website where we had mortgage calculators and they would come in, and I knew this worked because I bought traffic to it to test it. I was buying 300 visitors a day at about 30 cents per visitor. All right, it was for mortgage calculators. Now, that cost me about $100 if you do the math. Off of that, those 300 clicks turned into about 1,700 different page views. So each person was looking at an average of like 5.5, I don't know, you do the math, pages. What that did is it got me more than 300 clicks on ads, which means more than the amount of people that came to my site were actually clicking on the ads because of all the things they were looking at. That's how you make this work. You need to keep people engaged rather than just, here's something that ranks, here's your answer, see you later, alligator, as we say here in Florida. So going through here, looking at this, Jimmy John's, Firehouse, those would all be links into other pages. Hidden risks, okay. Maybe you could go through and say, well, here's our top franchises. Maybe you could go through and have like a little Johnson box or something like that that talks about the best ones. Now, going through, we want to make sure that our content is mobile responsive, of course. Fast loading, yes. Easy navigation. This is key. A lot of people focus on the content and not the navigation. The navigation is just as important. Are there trust signals you can use like, oh, hey, 100,000 people read this blog every month or whatever. Social sharing buttons, I'm going to leave this out. I'm not a fan of these. I'm going to take this out of the checklist. Analytics tracking, that's good. Legal disclaimers, always have those. What to do next? Clear what to do next. All right, so now I would do, after a user consumes this content, what do I want them to do next? Let's see what happens here. And it should do like a similar reading or something like that. Deeper financial tools, I like that. Maybe we could do like we talked about in my other video about franchises we'll put in the description. Maybe you can make like a calculator or a finder or something like that. So a comparison, Subway versus 5 franchises, or like what you need to know before. Also a consultation, that's fantastic. And you can use that as a lead generation for franchise consultants. Very good. Let's do, how about what you need to know before buying a franchise guide. And this is kind of thing we can put everywhere, right? Thorough keyword and research, preparation, integration, optimized title. So all of this is going to be in the content, like ChatGPT will make this pretty good. External linking, don't want to do that. We always want an internal link to stuff on our site. Optimize image, yes. Readability. Readability is key. Appropriate length for the topic. A lot of people say, well, how many articles, how many words do I need? And for years, they say, oh, 1,500 words is what ranks on Google. It does and doesn't. There's some pages with no words that rank on Google. There's some pages with 100,000 words that rank on Google. It has to do with what people want. Can they get the info they want? Are you being too wordy? Does it make sense? Would you actually read it? Going through and saying, would I actually read this is key. Now, looking at this here, lead capture, free franchise decoder tool. Interesting. That's kind of cool. Requires email, FTD. Okay. So there's some good tools they can use here. Financial reality check beyond the brochure. So this is showing me how to make the guide that we can build, right? So that would be the guide. I can monetize it with ads. I can monetize it with affiliate offers, guides, all kinds of things, even, paid ads and stuff like that. So going through here and looking at like, okay, if I wanted to make SEO content, 1, I need a keyword I can rank for. 2, I need good content. 3, if I'm spending the time making this content, I want to make sure that I have ample ways to promote it. Could I go through and turn it into a video? Or maybe like I had here, could I turn it into an infographic? Then, once they're on this content, what do I want them to do? Right? That's the important thing. When I'm thinking about what I want to rank for, I think about what I want people to do and how I'm going to get the money from whatever they're doing, whether it's clicking, buying an offer, getting an ad, something like that. And we want to think beyond just flat content and ads. The old world way of building sites and content and stuff like that, when people say SEO is dead, what they mean is like putting sites up with 10,000 articles about useless stuff. Like you saw the case study where the guy did the bird site. It was like bluebirds, blackbirds, green birds, chirpy birds, little birds, big birds, fat birds, whatever. All right, that content, one, doesn't make much money because it's like a guy's just in his backyard being like, what's that bird? Oh, that's a finch. Thanks. See you later. They're not looking for bird seed. They're not looking to get a pet bird. They just want to see what it is. Could you offer a guide on like bird watching? You could. That's a stretch. Probably not going to get that much money. This is what's dead. Actually going through and making good content, right? Like my one post, if I do it right for the Subway franchise, will make more than this bird site ever will. That's what's important. My one post about how do you write an article, that's going to get people in. My one post about web hosting or whatever it is, we need to think about what we want to do and how we are going to provide good content. That's what the emphasis is on. A lot of people think good content is well thought out, lots of words, things like that. Good content is based on the intent. That's all it is. Why does someone want to read this? What do they want? Like when I had a website about football times, it was, find out when the Niners game was, the, Packers game, all these other games. And they didn't want to read about why the NFL decided on 3 o'clock and why it's at church time or whatever, the history of the NFL and what TV is. They don't want that. They want the Niners are on at 4. What channel is it on? Let's go watch it. So I made a site. There was literally no content except for little buttons and things like that. That's how it worked. The idea of being wordy is not what makes money. People don't want it. A lot of people complain that my videos are too long because they don't want to watch it. Now, sometimes you do need to watch a long video to get the point. It's a lot of points here. But a lot of people are like, I just want the fast thing. I just want the fast thing. And a lot of these searches are based on that. That's why when Google has like AI overviews and stuff, it's because it's based on quick, fast things. Now, going through here, putting this together, we're going to say, okay, great. Now I have this piece of content. Where am I going to take them next? Now, if I want to do SEO, obviously I'm going to look and say, what would it rank for? What would it look like? All right. When I'm going through and looking at things like this, like explainer videos or interactive video production or whatever it is that I'm ranking for, right? And we have some that have better positions where it's for like, I think it's whiteboard videos. I think they are. Let's try keyword whiteboard, something like that. And what I do is I get into like explainer video software. So here's all these whiteboard animation, and you can see some of them rank pretty good. And going through like, okay, best whiteboard animation software. What does that person want? Do they want an article that's like, oh, hey, whiteboard animation software is good. Oh, actually, we're ranking better than Ahrefs says. I have noticed Ahrefs is a little weird lately and a little off. But this one here, what do they want? Here's the best explainer tool. Boom. Try it out. Simple. Easy. We don't need to go into the dissertation on the way that these work or anything like that. They just want the software. We do that. When you look at how much does a Subway franchise cost, how much does it make, is there a fee, whatever. All of these people here, there's like 35,000 people a month. That's a lot of people looking up the old Subway franchise. Could we get in there and talk about businesses? Now, my guess is, one, there's probably people settling a bet. Like, oh, bro, no, the Subway franchise is like $1 million. Nah, dude, it's 80 grand. Bro, okay, Google, blah, I'm done. There's also people in here of the 35,000 that are actually interested in loafing out 500 grand for a Subway. And maybe we could talk to them about franchises and loans and things like that, get them in deeper into that stuff. Very important. Or we could take the people that are just looky-loos and say, hey, you know what? Maybe you're interested in running a business and owning your own business. Here's how you can get into AI businesses or whatever. Thinking about this differently, thinking the next step, making the piece of content that is going to be based on what do we want them to do, where are we going to take them next. This 620 words is probably a really good start. I think maybe even the finish line if we go through and we have all the other stuff. Here's your due diligence checklist. This, I'm going to make this a download, okay? So maybe download your checklist. So now I'll go through. I'll be like, okay, let's make this a download and teaser to build a list. Let's see what it says. It might actually make the download, but we're going to try to get the teaser copy. Download and list is for another time. But notice how I'm spending time on things that make money. Most people would have spent the last 50 minutes, which is how long this video is so far, just making wordy content. And they don't really know why they're making it other than, oh, it's supposed to rank in Google, and I know I need content. Someone years ago said content is king. They were wrong. Like, can you make a lot of money with a content empire? You can. Can you make more with less content in a very simple way? You absolutely can. And that's what I've dedicated my career to, is understanding that. And I learned this the hard way. I learned this because I used to be an SEO guy back when I was in my 20s. It's been a while since I've been in my 20s. And I had a lot of sites that ranked on Google. We got hundreds of millions of visitors. And I didn't make that much money. Like, I made 300 grand a year, which when you're 20, like, oh yeah, cool, 300 grand, yay. But 300 grand on the amount of traffic I was getting was actually pretty low. Now, when Google went through all its changes and had its, different search engine changes and stuff like that, we lost a lot of traffic, so I had to buy traffic. And nothing teaches you to convert like having your money on the line for every visitor to your site. You have to learn to convert. Like, there's no way around it. You can't just sit there and have an article and hope people come in. You need to learn to convert. That's why in the Simple Sites course, I have a full section on paid traffic, because those are things you need to learn, not just for buying traffic, but for converting free traffic as well. So why does this convert? Solves a problem. So let's see what it looks like. So it gave us a follow-up. Opt-in page copy. This is what we want. Stop reading FTDs blindly. Okay, let's do... Make this more for people who don't know what an FTD is. This is what we want. So this has structured leads. I think it had something about, this. We never share your data. Franchise buyers trust this guide. Obviously, you do want to make that true. Let's see what it comes up with. Buying a franchise, 7 costly mistakes, new invent. That works. Yeah, so maybe have something. Notice how I have these little tools here, like on our Got Niches one. There's this tool that helps people figure out if a niche is good, right? And this here, a lot of people like this tool, and it just makes it super easy. And they're like, oh, hey, there's the tool. It's going to help you out. It's a little checklist. Those kind of things work really, really well. And going in here, buying a franchise, I could have a franchise tool. That would actually be really good. Having a little tool like this that pops up would be banger content, and they could just go through and make it, right? How many of you guys are like, yeah, these tools are very good. They help me out, right? That's the kind of thing. And you can do what to ask for a franchise. And this is not hard to do, right? You go through and you're like, now let's make a franchise tool checklist with all the secret stuff they need to know and how to look it up. This would be really cool, because then I would own this, which would take them deeper into places on my site. It's like, oh, hey, research this stuff. And people will spend hours researching this stuff, which that means lots of views, lots of clicks, lots of people reading your content, lots of people going deeper into your content, lots of people using this. You want content that is going to be consumed, enjoyed, used, gotten value out of. When people talk about value, it's not how many words you got, it's what words you have that are helping people. So the ultimate franchise due diligence checklist, here this is. Pretty cool. Now make it an HTML tool for my website with all the check boxes. Easy T. Okay, and this will go through and it'll make it just like it made this. I made this one in Gemini. It was not hard to do. And then just upload it to your site, which we have other videos on how to do that. But this goes through, here's the agreement review, personal guarantees. That's scary. Personal assets are at risk. Ouch. Yeah, I don't want to do a franchise that does that. I'm a very low-risk guy. I want to make it super simple. So now going through here, we can see all different stuff here. personal or business bankruptcy, key personnel, franchisor. Interesting. So now, I mean, this is super thorough. So now this I could turn into a guide and I can build a list with that right away. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this and get traffic to it. Right? So now I can have it rank. You guys see this stuff ranks if you do it right. I would probably go through and get like a franchise domain. There's some there. Maybe see which ones have rankings in Google or something like that. Sometimes they'll pop up franchise dynamics. So let's see. This one here probably has a little bit in Google, and let's see what it costs. Like, that's a good domain as it is. Didn't have very much ranking in Google, so I'm not super keen on it, but it's only $1, so to each his own. But it might go up. Who knows what it's going to go for. But there's lots of things here you can use. I think you could probably build one up and maybe even do social media stuff like thinking about buying a franchise. Or the reason I have advertorial here is because an advertorial content can be created without the need for getting Google traffic. So this is the kind of thing where I could say, oh, hey, franchises yield more than the stock market or whatever it is. Obviously, make it true, make it good, do the research. I'm just going off the cuff here. But that could be something interesting. Then if you put that on social media and all the people that are interested in investing are like, hey, I never thought about a franchise. That could be a good idea. Or something like that. Or like, I even thought about when my kids were going to college and we were seeing how much college was, I was like, dude, I could buy them a franchise and they will make money the rest of their life instead of going to school and hoping there's a job after. Again, that's my crazy brain thinking of stuff, but that's the kind of thing where, yeah, if I can make that engaging enough and interesting enough, people will click it and go there. And there are people right now that put information on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, stuff like that, good information that leads people to stuff like articles, blog posts, and things like that where the money is made. Very cool. So when you're doing an advertorial, can I do with a compelling headline, high quality, engaging value? What we're going to do here is we're going to look for the flip, right? So now I would say, now I want to get traffic in an interesting way. Find some ways to spin the idea of this content into general stuff that appeals to all people wanting to make money. Something like that. I find that DeepSeek is the king at like flipping things. It's not always the most honest, but it will help you sell best. And by honest, I mean it'll be like, oh, 100,000 people bought this product. And it just makes it out of thin air. Sometimes you have that. So like this, day in the life contrast, should avoid franchise. Okay, so let's see what it comes up with. Subway owner versus Airbnb versus Amazon FBA. Nice. That's cool. That's content. People would read this stuff. And then what I would do in this is I would have the spin in mind, like, okay, Amazon FBA, is there a course about that? Can I flip them from this into a course? Like Amazon FBA, get started for $1,000 or whatever. Obviously, look into it. Stuff like that. Here's one. Subway owners work 70 hours a week for $49K. McDonald's managers. So you'd be better off being a manager of a McDonald's than buying a Subway. See how this is interesting stuff for the right people looking? Owner salary. Your $120K dream, $18 an hour after expenses. I'm loving the way DeepSeek did that. Or profit per square foot. Subway makes $300 a square foot. Chick-fil-A makes $2,700. Here's why it matters. Interesting. $500 mistake. $500K in S&P, $35 a year passive. $500 in Subway, $49 passive. Or not passive, but like the opposite of passive because they're working their tail off. But understanding this is kind of cool. Like, this is where we're putting our info out. And we're like, what is it I could pick from that would get people in? And there's people that do this all the time. There's YouTube channels talking about franchises, talking about making money, all different kinds of things. So now we have quite a bit of stuff. Let's find some more angles, please. These are great. And this is kind of thing where if you're making content that's good and you know it stands on its own, you should be able to get people from other places. Like go share it on Facebook. If it gets shared, you know it's good. Or you sent it to the right people. If you sent it to the wrong people, it might have trouble. Okay, so AI versus human, debt prison, minimum wage math. This is good. I like this because it's teaching people about business. The $12 an hour CEO paradox. Subway franchise owners earn 24 after cost. Babysitters make 22 hour. I mean, there you go, right? TikTok showing the day in the life of my boss. Geography is destiny. Avoid this. Okay, maybe 3-year burnout. Why franchisees this? That will get read. That right there, boom, on my article would get clicks. This right here, this is why I love DeepSeek for this stuff, because it's like it thinks different, right? Let's see what happens when we give this to the others. Let's see, let's see what happens when we give this to ChatGPT. And we'll give it to Gemini also. I think we have to go back to our franchise one. Let's see what it comes up with. This is interesting stuff, and it's actually doing a fantastic job. So far, DeepSeek just nailed it. And again, see how I know what I'm looking for? This is what I want to train you guys for. That's why you're going to want to watch this video at least one time all the way, probably like 2 or 3 times so you get it. I know a lot of people, they transcribe and get notes from videos. Some videos that'll work for on something like this, you need to go through the strategy to see why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking and what I'm doing. It's not just about those quick notes. It's about the journey. Franchise versus that. Okay, it's getting some interesting ones. McDonald's. Okay, so there's some interesting stuff there. Let's see what ChatGPT came up with. Or did we do ChatGPT? I don't think we did this one yet. We had Gemini. Okay. We need to go into regular Gemini. Let's just do it with this one. And let's see. Creative, can owning a sandwich shop make you... See, this is just lame. Just throw these in the round bin. No good. DeepSeek for the grand slam home run, win the series. Right? This is the one here. ChatGPT, no, not even close. See how knowing what you want and knowing the tool to use is how you're going to make content that can make $100 a day. Like, I think if I did this right and I built it up and grew it, really thinking about it, what would these people want? How can I get good stuff? How can I make things like, hey, you know, a lot of people think buying a franchise is this. Like, you could go through, you could look at how many franchise buyers there are, how many people in USA buy franchises each year. It's probably a lot, probably like 100,000 or more, I would think. Maybe less, I don't know. But there's a lot. Like, I've known people that have owned all kinds of franchises. 20,000 new, and the total number, so there's 851,000 nationwide, looking to sell, looking to buy. 20,000 expected to open. That's actually open. That's not just, let me research it or whatever. The researching is a lot higher. That's why 35,000 people a month search for a Subway, but there's not 35,000 Subways opened every month, right? We got to understand they probably buy other stuff or look into other businesses. That's the key, is looking into other options. Helping people understand their options is key. Let's see here. Universal Investors Toolkit, Red Flag Spotters Angle. That did not get it. So DeepSeek, see how it just thinks different? Like, it's like, okay, this is doing the $12 CEO. There's a lot of good stuff here. The McDonald's fallacy, why brand recognition is a profit trap. You know, McDonald's doesn't know you. Brutal economics of buying famous brands. Interesting. Chick-fil-A owners earn 4 times what Subway owners do, and that one's only like $10,000, but you got to be chosen, which is fitting for a religious company. You've got to be chosen to have our franchise. But at any rate, you know, you got the swap here. Now find some businesses that earn the same but cost less. Something like this, okay? And starting to understand that is absolutely key. And let's see here, average profit. Under 100K. So this is getting us good info that people would actually want. Vending machine versus Subway. Wow, can you make as much? I mean, yeah, if you spent 500 grand on vending machines, that's a lot of vending machines. Pressure washing. That's cool. And I'm thinking like the gal that reviews businesses all the time here on YouTube. She's got a huge following. This is what she does. This is how her content's made. This is how it makes money. And this is how we're going through and building it up to actually work. There's always an angle, right? Very important. Always an angle. Digital ATM, lawn care, gardening. Like that's, I mean, you're making more. It is harder work. That's for sure. Actually, I don't know. I knew a guy who owned a Subway, and the dude worked like crazy. So, self-serve laundromat. See how this is thinking about content, not just, oh, hey, they want Subway, here is Subway. This is more, what do they really want, right? Looking at that for your market is key. So, now, Notebook LM, we haven't talked much about, but this is really good for like compiling a lot of info where I could go through and I could just take this whole chat and I could paste this in a Notebook LM. Like this. Here we go. Right here. And I can do copied text. Then I can get like the best of the best of the best, sir. If you remember that movie, best of the best of the best, sir, with honors. We can tape all of this info and get like an overview synopsis of it. That would help. But that's more for like the research and planning. And then, you know, you can get like a little mind map and stuff like that. Let's add this one. And then let's add ours. Let's take a look at what our content was, which was good. Like, it's got the burnout and everything. I think it's stuff that people normally wouldn't think to put in there. Whereas you're looking, okay, if I look at the top ranking on Google, does it actually do that? Is it actually working? Is it actually giving them the stuff they want and making the most money? Maybe. I mean, let's take a look here. Subway franchise. So Subway franchise, you have an AI overview. You have Subway franchise, their website. You have Reddit. And let's see. So theirs is this one. Let's just see what they say. Okay. Like, so to me, that's not the greatest user experience. Okay. But it's okay. I mean, whatever. I mean, if you're looking for a Subway franchise and you want to buy one, that's probably good. If you look at Franchise Direct, see how this is, it's probably like a 0 click, although that's like, that doesn't say what I want. These get a lot of views, like these guys here. Entrepreneur. So if we look at Entrepreneur, that's their success in the franchise industry. So that's not really, let's do earnings, profit. There we go. Let's see what comes up here. So Startup Nation has one, typical Subway, $420 a year. So like that shows the earnings, but not the profit right off the bat. Keep your payroll around 22%. So that's the Reddit one, under 30 CEO. So yeah, looking at this, that one's a credit one. So notice how the credit guy is talking about franchises. Interesting. A lot of other franchise stuff. So you could see here all kinds of things these people are doing. And that is content that's getting traffic. It does work if you take a look at what these people are doing. Like that one here, right, that probably got some good info, some good earnings, because franchises is a business market which has a lot. Now, going through looking at an advertorial type, this is where you would start and be like, okay, now let's go with the advertorial idea of, let's see, I think it was right here. Subway owner versus Airbnb, 70-hour lie. That's an interesting one. We could probably start with that. Or Chick-fil-A, here's why it matters. $300 a square foot, $2,700. Vending machine. That's interesting. So vending machine, according to this, is big. How vending machine beats 3 Subways. That's pretty cool. How a vending machine earns more than 3 Subways or something like that. 500K mistake. So let's say we did this. So I could say, make the article for this with the spin to get them to want to be their own boss and highlight online job or online businesses they can do. Something like that, okay? So let's see here. You'd be earn more per hour managing Chipotle than owning a Subway. That's kind of sad. But you wouldn't get 70 hours a week at that one. So, you'd have to work at 2 McDonald's or whatever it is, or Chipotle's. Owner salary calculator. That's kind of cool. Like you can make a franchise earnings thing. That would be pretty cool, right? Thinking about that content. So Subway franchise owner, 70 hours a week. UPS driver makes double, 50 hours a week. Online course biz, 80,000, 15 hours a week. That's pretty good. This box would work. Let's see how his content came out. The 70-hour lie, why being your own boss in a franchise is a trap, and how to really build freedom. Spoiler, stop trading time for pennies, start trading skills for profit. The bait and switch, buy a franchise, be your own boss, work when you want. Reality, Chipotle owners, Subway owners, stuff like that. You'd earn more per hour. See, this is content that would be good. And what it's going to do is it's going to get them thinking, oh, well, I make X amount per hour. What if I owned an online course biz? Boom. There we go. Old model. Invest your life savings. Work your tail off. Less than Costco cashier is what you're going to make. Exit 3 years to maybe break even. Ouch. See how it's like getting the pain spots and stuff? New model. Laptop. $47 domain. Actually, they're $9. See, it does make stuff up. Work 6 a.m. before your job or 10 a.m. after or 10 p.m. after Netflix. Earn this amount. Obviously, you're going to check that. The average person makes nothing, but you got to understand this. Affiliate review. This is the kind of thing where you can review all kinds of things. Like, are people thinking of Airbnb? What are the things they don't know? A lot of people don't think about this stuff, and that's our job, is to make good content, make them think about it, point them to things that make us money. Freedom scorecard, franchise versus online business. See, like I could have this on all the posts of my franchise stuff, get people in. Like if I saw this on social media and I was like, dude, Subway owner makes less than the guy who like walks a cat. I don't know. Is there cat walkers out there? I know there's a cat walk, but but anyway, I'll quit while I'm ahead. Looking at the 3-step plan, pet travel kits makes this much. Buy a domain, $12, install WordPress free, write a product review. There you go, right? Like a TikToker makes more. So you could do that in franchise refugees. But that's good. Do you guys see how this is turning content into stuff that makes money? If you want to make $100 on a piece of content, it needs to be a good piece of content. If you want to go out there and do this over and over, do the work it takes to make this. We're in an hour and 15 minutes into this video. We've got a good starting point. We've got a lot of good ideas. Using these in tandem is great. And using Manus is good for finding all the other stuff, right? We did a whole job for, I think it was, yes, financial blog posts. These started ranking. What I did is I took my domain, Economics Explainer, starting to rank for stuff like human wants, which is a characteristic of making money, something like that. We're number 1, right? There's other stuff. Watch how this ranks. It'll do good. And what I did is I had Manus create the initial articles. I'm going to watch what they do, look at the ones that rank, and fancy them up and make them better. That's the way to go. Now, for me to create 100 articles on my own would have been a pain, but using Manus to make all these, it didn't take very long. It took like 5 hours or something for Manus to do it. I just went and did my own thing. And then came back and bada boom, bada bang, we're ready to go. So understanding that's key. I could go through with this and say, let's say I wanted to do chatgpt, and this is good for just basic stuff. So I'm going to go chatgpt, right like this. I'm going to say list the top 50 franchises. Just the name and the word franchise. Let's see here. And hopefully it gets that I want like Subways and stuff. Good, it did. So I can go like this and then put this in here, okay? And then I go to Manus and say, make simple articles on these. have a catchy headline, talk about costs, earnings, how much you have to work in the franchise, and have related links. What I want this to do is I want it to do all the research for me so I can go in, throw this in DeepSeek back and forth, make a good article fast. That's the key. That's the winner, winner, chicken dinner. So we're going to go like this. You have to work the franchise and related links and other related franchises and stuff like that. One file each franchise, please. And it'll go through and it'll do this, right? Now, it will take some credits, but I mean, usually, I did 100 the other day and it wasn't even close to the amount I pay for the lowest amount, right? Like the $20 version or $39 or whatever it costs. But this will go through and it'll do those for us. And then I can come back and use them. We did economic article titles and stuff like that. So it does do a good job, and it will do the formatting and everything like that, where you can have the file names, be very specific on file names, or have it change them. And then uploading is a breeze. We actually have on the Economics Explainer one, let's see, Economics Explainer. I think I have my logins in here. I might have to go through my host. But what this did is I had a plugin that allowed me to upload them in bulk, which matched what the domain ranked for previously, which was key. Because if I can do that, now I'm off to the races. Like, it's going to make life so much easier. And I'll show you what it looks like here. What we did is we had the bulk doc upload, right, like this. And because I had Manus make the file names the way I wanted them, I'll show you how this works. We had, I think it was this, Economics Explainer, view all files. Yeah, see how it has no spaces, or no weird characters, just spaces? That's what I wanted. And so now using this, we have all these, and I can upload them. So all I would have to do is download this right here. We'll go ahead and show in folder. And then I'll extract it. And this gives me the starting point. So I can set all these as pending, or I could post them and see where they rank and then fancy them up later. But going through here is going to make this much, much easier, because watch this. So now I have all 100. Okay, so now it's like 401k and all this other stuff. And it matches this style. So types of goods, indifference curve, human wants. All of this matched things that it ranked for previously. So now I can go through and see what's going to work. So like this purchasing one, I don't know if it started ranking yet, but sometimes it will. Oh, that guy's got his own domain for that. So sometimes it'll start to pop up. It's an older domain, so I don't know how quick it will, but you guys will see it'll start to pop up, and then we just make them better, which is really cool. I don't think it spidered it yet. That's what it's called when Google does its little dance to find your pages. If you guys remember the Google dance, let me know in the comments below. But see how this is what we wanted. We wanted all of these to be on the link they were on, right? So what I did was I just made Manus build them that way, and then when I go into this here, I'm literally just taking these, all 100, right like that, boop. Then it'll bulk process them. I can make sure they work. Now you can see they're already there because I've already done this process. But now I can go through and be like, oh, wait a minute. So here's this one that's ranking for supply and demand. Okay, what can I do? Well, what would someone want if they did this? So this is where I go to DeepSeek, and I'm like, why would someone look up supply and demand in Google? Something like that. And you can even make social media to get them there. Hey, what you don't know about supply and demand and blah, blah, blah. Get them over there. It's probably someone taking some kind of economics test. So here's a key angle, stuff like that. And then I could just give this to it and say, well, what can I add to make money, right? What kind of offers? So here's why they search, 8 reasons. Students, small business owners, invest. So, I don't know why. I'm just loving DeepSeek right now. Why am I loving DeepSeek? Because I could go through and say, are you a student? Click here. Are you a small business owner? Click here. Are you an investor? So I'd probably just put these 3 at the top of it and then have them go through with the other stuff, which would be really cool, right? Starting to understand it, big game changer there. Now I can go through and build these. But going through and looking at this, making your content, using these checklists, understanding why you're making them. Like if I'm going to make $100 on the supply and demand one, what would that look like, right? How would that work? How would I make them understand it? Could I make money on that? On that one, if I wanted to make $100, I'd probably pair it with a video. I think that would be key. But there are ways to do all this with other things as well. Having a Johnson box there. Okay, can I have, okay, let's make a Johnson box for this. And it'll go through and it'll make it. And then I could see where to put it. Usually front and center. Johnson box should be at the top. Let's see what it looks like. Profit focus, freedom focus, scarcity driven. Okay, cool. And I can even put my video on there, right? Like for a franchise profit calculator, Subway owners earn this. Digital course, online business builders do this. So that's pretty cool, right? It's going through and doing this stuff. Multiple strategy-based calls to action, integrated social proof, high-quality product, service, imagery, videos. This is really good. Having all these things, this is what's going to take you from just boring content that don't make money to stuff that does make money. So what you're going to need to make this work, again, if you want to make an article and get $100 like a lot of people are talking about, what I need to do is say, what am I going to do to make my $100? If I get an average of $1 a click with ads, well, I need to get 100 clicks. How many people need to be on my site for me to get 100 clicks on ads? That's what we got to look at. Or if I'm selling a product that's $30, I need to sell 3 of them. How many people would that equal? Well, at a 3% conversion, I would need 100 people. There you go. But there's also other ways we could make money, right? Getting an opt-in, getting a list, getting this, getting them to go deeper into other pages on your site. This is going to be key. If you can do that, you're going to win. Win the click, win the money. Very important. Can I have them go to a sales page or something? And can I have all of these franchise ones with the direct operative of, now I'm going to get them into the business building kit or buy a business or whatever it is, or loans or whatnot. Looking at that is very important. So starting with the intent, looking at all these other things, compelling storytelling, Johnson boxes, calls to action, integrated proof, video, direct links to sales pages, right? Tell them. Like a lot of people, they don't think about like, go here and order. Well, that works, right? Telling people, hey, go here to order. Even having a screenshot of the order form, like here's what it's going to look like. Click here to fill it out. Get it going. That's the key, and that's where the rubber meets the road. If you understand how money is made and why people click what they click, why they're searching what they search for, and how you can make content that works, I think you can get a lot closer. So what we want to look at, if you want to make articles that make money, you're going to need traffic. How are you going to get that? SEO, social media, driving people from a video. What are you going to do to make that work? Instead of saying, go to my site to buy this thing, go to my site to download this list. Notice how like everyone who's watching this video, if you guys are engaged, you want this list. You're going to go to AIProfitScoop.com to get this list. Why? Because that's something of value. Now, that's the goal. Get that to get the click. Once you get the click, now I can sell you on other stuff. That's the key. Going through and understanding this is absolutely key because a lot of people are just slapping up content with affiliate links, hoping they make money, not thinking about, oh, well, some content is used for traffic, some content is used for sales. How do we make them intertwine to make a money-getting machine? How do we get all this in here and make it work? If I want to sit there and make an article that's going to make $100 or more, I need to understand what that article is going to be, how it's going to get the money, how it's going to get the traffic, and how it's all going to work. That is more important than the content itself. Anyone can make run-of-the-mill generic AI content. Welcome to 2025, where Manus will write, it's already writing me articles. I don't got to do anything but give it keywords. Here it is. It's doing them. How many we got so far? Probably 1, 2, 3, 4. It's already doing it. Right, there you go, the golden opportunity, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? This content sucks. However, there are things we can use in the content. It's about using what you can, pointing people to the things that make money, understanding where and why people read things, understanding what keyword do I want. Yeah, if I have franchise traffic, I'm making money. That's why I'm doing this. Now, understanding like the economics one, kind of hit and miss. Like if I rank for human wants, meaning, and classification, I'm probably not going to make much on that. But I have to have it there because that's what the site was. Direct and indirect tax, that could be something that would make money. Or we can go through and talk about like the 80-20 rule, the investing rule. This is where you get in and you're like, oh, now I see things different. Can I go through and say, now list 100 investing concepts like 80-20 rule stuff. Just list the concept name. This is where you're going to go in and you're going to see interest. And I can make content about the 80-20 rule and then get them into something that helps. Maybe sell a book on Amazon that talks about different investing strategies or something like that, or money principles and things of that nature. This is key because now you're going to go through, and even if I don't, fancy up the keyword list, even if I just do as is, watch all the people searching for this. Okay, super, super important. And these are things like the vast majority of people don't know this stuff. And maybe I'm at an advantage because I didn't go to college, which means like when educated people talk about business, they know these words. I don't. And sometimes I look at them. Like I remember a couple years ago, I heard the term tesseract. And I was like, wow, that's a cool term. And I came in, told my kids about it, and they're like, yeah, I learned that in 4th grade, Dad. And I'm like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool. But I used it to explain something. There's a video here on the channel that talks about the tesseract and how it helps you make money. That's what we're doing, is we're spinning these terms that the vast majority of people don't know. Like, I don't know what a tax loss thing is or a candlestick pattern. All of that, I don't know what this is. But now I could go through and I could give this to Manus, right? Watch this. We'll show you what this comes up with in the next video. I could say, make a short lesson on each of these. 1 file each for the financial aspect. Boom. Now it's going to go through. It's going to do that for me. I'll get that info. That's info I can use. I'll take a DeepSeek and say, hey, make this interesting. Make it something where if I posted dollar cost averaging is costing you money in your business, or whatever it is to that one, right? I'd have to go through and I'd look at it. If I could post that or make a video about it, get them to the post and say, hey, you want 50 more or 100 more of these? Go to my blog. You'll get 100 more principles that'll help you make money. This is how we're understanding content in a different way and not just relying on SEO to do it, right? We're relying on all kinds of different things. We're making content that people want to consume that's actually good. And this is where you go in and do this. Using all these tools, we went through, we talked about Manus, which is great for initial research. Get all that stuff done, throw it up, see where it goes. Next, Gemini is good for deep research, going in and understanding stuff. Use your Notebook LM. ChatGPT, great for lists, tables, boxes. DeepSeek, money thoughts. If you're not using DeepSeek and you want to make money with content, you need to be using DeepSeek. Disclaimer, make sure you check what it says because it'll sell really good, but sometimes it's not the most ethical salesperson. So, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Look for the angle, not just copy and paste what it says. Litter that throughout your content, looking at, okay, let's make some angles for these. Let's open a new one. Let's see what it does. Here are some financial terms. Make a 1-line catchy, interesting lesson or phrase from each I can use to drum up social media clicks for people interested in business. Boom. There we go. Let's just do a couple of these because I mean, if I give it a bunch, it's going to take forever, but I want to show you how this works. There we go. So like the Buffett indicator, that's cool. Like that's stock market traffic that you could get super easy, and watch what DeepSeek does with this. Boom. Okay, check this out. We're going to got a little coffee left. All right, so now check this out. It's going. It's doing its work. Has a clear hook, explanation, relevant hashtags. Nice. Peter Lynch's secret weapon, invest in what you know. Interesting. Is the market scary, overvalued? Warren Buffett's favorite. Okay. Now make it, but hint at the tip or lesson more curious. Not like Peter Lynch's secret weapon or whatever. The name of the thing. Let's see. Okay, so we have credit risk, the domino effect when someone can't pay. Is your money safe? I'd reverse it. Is your money safe? Credit risk, the domino. Rates rising, your mortgage credit just got riskier. That's good. Quantitative easing. So I think it did pretty good on some of them. Let's see what it does when it's more curious, because then I can post them, lead them to my blog post. My blog post is going to have all the money stuff. And all I'd have to do is have like, oh, here's 10 things you need to know. Your favorite store's cash register could be your best stop tick. That's good. And I would even say like Walmart's cash register could be your best stock tip or something like that. The one ratio that whispers if the market's drunk on hype. Interesting. Why a weak dollar makes your gas tank cry, but your vacation cheaper. Dude, I'd read that. Heck yeah. When bonds scream danger before the stocks even blink. Ooh, nice. The Fed's money printer go burr. Here's what it steals from your savings. Ooh, that's it. These are good. And that's just on 7 of them. I can give it the list of all 100, then give that to Manus, and boom, it'll make the articles and stuff, or I can write them in here. But that's going to be something that works really good. And now I can take this and say, okay, well, what are some of the terms that I rank for? Supply and demand. Let's do this. Now for supply and demand. It's thinking. And then I could go through and make this work with supply and demand. Strong verbs, screams, steals. This is why DeepSeek for the money type stuff is key. And that's where you're going to get stuff that's shareable, that's good, that we can actually turn a profit with. Again, disclaimer it. Again, not every article is going to make $100. Some make more. Vast majority, most content online makes nothing. Like, let's call a spade a spade. But if we have it right, this is how I've made a living. And what I'm doing is I'm teaching you, here's how to make it right. Again, no guarantees or anything. It's just, we got to go out there and build this stuff. Why empty shelves make prices soar and full ones crush your wallet? I'd read that. That's timely, right? Now make 10 timely titles or something like that. Left side empty. So even showed you a visual. This is stuff on social media. I'd click it. I'd be like, oh, what the heck? I need to read that. Or if it was on Google ranking for the stuff, it would work. So looking at this, let's see here. Timely curation. Why summer travel prices are exploding. Hint, it's not greed. The AI chip shortage secret, why your tech costs are skyrocketing. Empty shelves again, the hidden battle controlling your grocery bill. I like that. Taylor Swift tickets 1,000 times the ruthless math of FOMO pricing. Rent crisis deepened. These are solid. Farmers dump milk, you pay more, the madness explained. Like that, I could probably put that on social media and just boom, 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 boom. And there's so many people like on Facebook that have content empires on Facebook. Facebook pays for the content. If you get enough engagement, the content goes to your blog post. There's lots of ways to use this to make money if you think outside the box. But if you're thinking it's just about going to ChatGPT and getting an article and making money, it's not. Going through and using these, I would say if I could only do 2 tools, Gemini is free, or I'm sorry, DeepSeek is free. Gemini has a free version. ChatGPT has a free version. I would pay for a better version of Gemini. I'd use DeepSeek, and I'd do the stuff on my own. If you want the base laid out, like I'm going to get 100 articles from those things, if I want that laid out and I want to do that quickly, Manus is probably worth it. Just because it's the volume and I don't have to do the initial research. Like you see here, it's 6 minutes in, it's already making them. So here's the inflation one. Inflation hedge is an investment. So it's getting the base which is usable. It's not exactly perfect. Like I know Manus is like the worst when it comes to plagiarism. Pretty sure this will be like 15% or more. Let's see here. But it will get me that starting point, like our little, definition or whatever it is. So it can be good. It's just use it sparingly. Although 11%, that's not terrible. It's not great. I like to be under 2%. But, you can go through and pair this with what this is, and then you're going to have something perfect that would get people into other stuff. You always want that, like, here's the next thing to do after reading this, or even if they're skimming, here's what to do. Click here for this, get the finance loan, get this tip. All those things are what you want to have throughout your content to make money. So hopefully you enjoyed this long-winded video about how to make content that makes money. Hopefully you understand how business works. Again, I'll have these checklists and some more info over at aiprofitscoop.com. Also, we'll have a video for you over there, which is a full tutorial on where I was teaching my outsourcers to make content. I have a content outsourcing business. They use AI to make content according to my strict rules. I'll give you that video as well. It'll be over there. It's too long to put here, but I think it's a pretty solid one. Check it out. Also, check out the video in the description of the niche for finance, or for the franchise niche. Check that video out. Smash the like button. And yeah, go check out that video and get your notes at aiprofitscoop.com. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.